I don't know
That's not
because
how
you
it
guys
works.
never give me the opportunity to take the driver's seat for a change. So I
No, it's
wanted to
Hayes.
try it out.
Hayes is in the production seat
I
tonight.
am. I am. You guys I might be all over just different spots. You guys are gonna think I'm zoned out, and it's because I'm just all of a sudden I'm right up here making things happen.
He's also he's also thinking that he's going to be the one that gets us canceled, which is pretty. He said something like, "I don't want it to I don't want to cancel us."
I didn't want to end
Right
the
before,
stream. That cancel. No,
but you said
no, Jay,
cancel us, which
we've
means a
already been
whole
canceled. We've already
new
been
thing.
canceled.
Yeah, but that's the funny thing. Like, I mean, you know, we get a little, Hey, stop it, guys. Looks like some other people with some much larger reaches than us didn't get that same email.
But are they going to be able to catch?
I'm not bitter.
Not catch, but are they going to be able to get everybody who's doing it? Probably not. They sent it to an email that we don't look at to a person who is not associated with this production.
Thank God, I hate his group me name now.
Yeah, and the thing
The
is
man
that,
behind Bring It.
yeah, anytime you see a free bring it, a hashtag free bring it on the internet anywhere, you're gonna see a free softball Tony right behind it, and you're like, I don't want this. This is not what we want.
I've only
But
seen
he's
one
gotta
person do it.
he's gotta make it about himself. But those free Bring It shirts are in. The order is
on the way.
yes, sir.
Thank you to everybody who got one. We got a lot of shirts going out.
Yeah, we
it's
did.
pretty cool.
We did. I got two.
I did too. I got
was
two as well, but one for me and one much smaller size.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, mine are very large sizes, both of them. But yeah, no, we won't say who, somebody brought that to our attention about that stream, and I was like, I thought it was just it being in like the Facebook or on YouTube. And Dustin, you just said no, it was another. It was something else, and I'm not trying to get them canceled or get that same email we did.
Which is exactly
But
why
man.
I didn't go right into the comments and put hashtag free bring it. Didn't do that. It took a lot for me not to do that, but I didn't. Because I didn't want to see the free softball Tony right behind it.
Oh, Christ, no.
And B, there's jeez, dropping shit.
You're right over there?
Yeah.
First
And B, I mean, I don't if they haven't gotten a cease and desist, I don't want them to shut them down. I
Hey,
don't care about
if you want somebody to come do broadcasts on your streams,
yeah.
it's not ours.
Just blur your face.
Yeah.
I'll just do a robo change on the voice.
The robo change and get the light in the background so it's just your silhouette.
I'll still leave up the Bring It logo in the background though.
That would be beautiful. Yeah.
I'll use one of my
behind you.
I'll use one of my alter egos. Guys, I got to tell you, this is a very weird setup for me tonight. Very, very weird setup tonight. I'm in Florida. I'm in Orlando. I'm in a Town Place Suites. I've got like a desk on top of a desk, so I can stand and sit. I brought a travel mic with me. This is a weird setup. I'm not used to it, boys.
It's still 3 times more advanced than I am, so
Fucking, my setup is better in a hotel than yours is at home after 3 years.
yeah, it is. I don't deny it anymore. I don't even try. I have a table finally.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bring It. I don't even know, like, with this mic where it should really be, but hey, we got a great show tonight. We're going to have Brett Helmer joining us here shortly. He'll be on at about 8:10, 8:15, somewhere in there, once we get through our typical bullshit. But no, listen, thanks for joining us here tonight. D-Money, what's happening, baby? What you drinking?
What's going on, Jero? Tonight I have a zero gravity Little Wolf Pale Ale. I don't know if you've been to this place. It's right. It's up in Burlington, Vermont. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool little spot right on the lake there, and yeah, they've got nice beers, nice balanced beers. I feel like everything that they have there is very balanced. Pretty sure their big one is their lager, which is also very nice. But I happen to like their pales, their IP ales, and the dippas as well. The dippa. They don't. I don't know. I don't know if they do a NEPA, but I mean, I like all of their flagship, nice beers that they put in it. It got a little of a bit of an assortment pack.
It works for you.
Yeah. So I've got a cone head on deck as well. So
okay.
We're rolling. We're
I like that. Sounds like you got yourself a nice little menu for this evening. I love that. Coco, what's up, baby? What juice box we hammering out tonight?
So I moved up to what the kids are all clamoring about. I got a prime, not the energy, just their like refresher. It was almost a Go-Gurt, but it's a little late. It's a little late to take those in. So strawberry watermelon.
He turns into a fucking toddler during the school year.
The off season. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And I say off season, but I mean, did you play this?
Did he have a season?
Yeah, was there an
I got lost
season
and showed up at Martell a couple of times.
Okay.
Ended up at the firecracker in a dugout.
Yeah, he just loves softball, and that's why he's still here somehow.
Does he though? Does he?
I mean, he's in the production seat tonight. So
yeah, it's basically gonna be like Office Space. You guys will just one day fix the glitch, but until then, I'll keep showing up.
We're just waiting for you to fix the glitch on your own. But we like you. That's why we're
internet
holding
got
on
stronger,
to the glitch.
baby. I'm coming back.
The internet got stronger.
I love that. I'm going light tonight. I didn't want to. I'm trying to stay away from a lot of the beer, especially not a typical Tuesday night. World's coming up. World's coming up on when do we start Thursday at 2:15. So I got a lot of hydration around me on this double desk I got going. So I'm going with a little Deep Eddy grapefruit vodka soda cans. Yeah, not bad. Something light, vodka and sodas.
Yeah, I was like, that's the opposite of light, but I'm going to let you have your thing here.
He's staying away from the beer. I mean, I think tonight, as long as you're just, hydrating with the alcohol, that's fine. Tomorrow's the hydration day. Everyone knows the day before. It's one of those, and I'll tell you what, one game can feel like 3 games. One game in Florida can feel like 3 games in the Northeast. It's
for sure.
It's hot.
Well, you know what they say, the hydration starts the week prior to the tournament.
That's right. And that's why you're lightening the load. You're not going with Mai Tais tonight on a Tuesday.
He has to wean himself off.
If I found a place close by that was a divey Asian restaurant, I would have been. But here's the thing: I worked late tonight. I had some late calls, so I couldn't really get to my Mai Tais for a Tuesday, which is fine. But no, it is. It's supposed to be a nice day. It's not going to be like when we were down here for the major World Series, the men's C, women's C and D, where it was hot. Like that was some heat.
What are you looking at this week then?
Low 80s.
Okay,
not bad.
No, we're going to be up close to that up right here.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I left this morning. It was 36 degrees in New Hampshire, and I got my Le Pif hoodie on, and I was just like, it is too damn hot for this hoodie right now. I'm also, I almost grabbed a minivan. I love a minivan, and I'm going through the lines at National. Back from my NHL days, still have that code. So I'm going through, and I'm like, I don't want a minivan. I don't want to drive everybody. I got the Subaru Outback. I feel like I'm in Vermont going to the Lilith Fair.
Yeah,
I was gonna. You found a Subaru in Florida.
It's from Virginia. I'll tell you that much.
Okay,
it's for lovers.
There it is.
There
it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's not keep our guest waiting here. We're gonna bring him in. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Brett Helmer. Brett, welcome to the show. Welcome to Bring It.
Thanks, guys. What's happening? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, awesome. You're good. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Glad to be on.
Oh, yeah, this is great. We got our production guy making sure your audio levels sound perfect. So
we're looking good so far.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to this stuff, so chances are I'll mess something up along the way.
You know,
They've
that's
only
the
made-
beauty of this. It's one link. You click on it, and we just let the shit fly from there. Like, no worries now.
It was easy. I'm in here, so I must have done something right.
Well, first off, congratulations on an unbelievable tournament last week, 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was a really good tournament. The competition has gotten really good over the last 4 or 5 years, right? We've just gotten better and better and deeper in the conference. We may have less teams, than we normally had. But I think back in the day when we started, we'd have 50 teams, then into the 40s, and now we're somewhere in the 30s. But the level of competition, top to bottom, is really unmatched. It's the deepest and the best we've had. So really amazing. It makes the year that the guys put together for us even that much more impressive. Playing that well against, really the best competition we've ever had.
I was going to say that. I mean, this year for you guys, what you won 7, came in second, third, and fourth. Another almost handful of times. There was really only one. Looks like the Pocket City was really the weak point of the season, but you guys pretty much dominated all year. This was just like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, we got out of the gate strong in Vegas. The funny thing about Vegas is no one ever really wants to go because the fields are little and they play little. But we kind of started supporting it years ago, and it's turned into an event where we used the points from Vegas this year, I believe, into our our points for the year because all the big teams came and a bunch of the AA teams came, so the points were great. So we got our stride there early and. Went down, and one of my goals for our team is always to try to win at least one of the 2 Hall of Fame Classic duels, right? Because there's so many points involved, and you can get off to a great start and kind of build a little bit of lead, make everybody chase you a little bit. So, we got down there and we did that. We finished second in one, and we won the other one, and kind of got off and running. And we caught a little injury bug in Euless. KP. Pulled some ribs there, and it cost him a few weeks. And Brad Reckart broke his thumb, and it was just kind of a rough go down there. But played pretty well, really. Competitive edge put it on us in the championship of the second tournament. They played great. They actually beat us up pretty good in the first tournament as well. So they had a heck of a year and played well there. But we got out of there a little beat up, and then from there, I mean, we hit Myrtle Beach, and man, I think we went on a 21 straight game win streak, right, where we didn't drop a game in 4 tournaments, I think it was, which is super hard to do. I mean, that's crazy. 300-foot parks and home run rules and great teams. So couldn't be more proud. That's focus, right? When you get to that point, it's never taking an at-bat off or being lazy on defense and just really focusing the whole time. And whatever combo of guys we put out there just all stepped up. Really, really great team.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign out of you as the manager since 21 exactly. It wasn't like 21. You had 21 straight wins. And these are, I mean, by the time you got to the Smoky, you outscored your opponents 274-75.
Yeah, man, we got to the Smokies, and it was kind of on. We have a ton of power, so I think separates us a little bit, and it's no disrespect to any other team because there's other great major teams. They're all really, really good. But I think what separates us a little bit is my guys don't miss a lot, right? They get on those parks, and at the Smokies, the ball flies. The parks, the main diamond where everybody plays. It's 350, 355 to center, 315 down the lines, 330 in the alleys, but it carries good there. The ball was flying, and we just came in there hitting a stride, and we never really got off the gas. We scored so many runs early. It's so hard when you have a team with big offense who comes out in the first and throws up a 10 or 12 or 15 and then goes in the second and throws 8 or 10. And man, you might be playing good. The next thing you know, man, hey, you're sitting over and you've got 15 runs through 2 and you think you're doing okay, but you're chasing 15. So, we just put all kinds of pressure on everybody at the Smokies, and my guys, they weren't missing. I think, we picked on him, but I think Bradley Jones was our low guy there, and he hit almost 700, and everybody else had insane stats. I think Buddy Wolf hit in the high 9s with like 18 or 19 homes, something ridiculous, right? Just on it. They were all on it. So that was great. We all treat the Smoky Mountain Classic is my favorite place in the whole wide world, man. When you go there, what I always tell my guys, I've said this forever, is when you walk through the gate and you walk onto field 3, the main field there, every great upper player, every great sponsor has walked down that that was, that ramp and onto that field at one point or another in a 50-plus year history of that tournament, which makes it amazing, right? If you're into the history of it, I love the history side of it. I've always made sure I've talked to the guys, the Mike Masenkos of the world, and all those guys to get the history, Todd Jorlins, and to be able to be part of that, just, even though I haven't played in, like 5 years, just to pull down that street, man, the hair goes up on my arms, and I cannot wait to get down on that field. It's amazing. It's an amazing place, and we treat it like winning a World Series. When you win, all teams do. You win if you had Andy Purcell on here, he would tell you the exact same thing. Hey, man, you win the Smokies, it's like winning a World Series event. That's how it's treated by all the teams, and it should be, because it's an amazing place.
Well, it's always fun when you get to walk into a tournament like that has that type of mystique, has that type of history, and you can, it's almost like I still remember my first time at Fenway, right? 4 years old, yep. Seeing the Brewers, Billy Joe Robideau, your little things remember, and you kind of treat it as a special occasion. Something I wanted to touch on real quick, you mentioned about the power in your lineup, and I got to tell you, that first championship game, when Sonny's put up 23 in an inning, it still never felt like you guys were out of it until then they put up 18 in the fourth or something. It was just wild, though, the power display.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable game, and listen, kudos to them, man, because they scored a bunch in the top. We came in the bottom and scored. They scored a whole bunch. I think they scored maybe 18 in the top of the second. We come in the bottom and we're chasing. We still put up a number. They didn't do a huge number. I think we were down almost. We were down 25 to 30, I think, at one point. We come in after the bottom of the third, we had run it down to 7. So we're only down 7. I'm saying to myself, man, if we can drag this out to 6 or 7 innings, I feel real good that we're going to run them down. Because we had 26 runs through 3 on a baseball stadium. I'm like, and we're hitting the hell out of it, right? That's pretty damn good. But, hey, they're hitting the hell out of it. And then we come out and we made an error on the very first ball in the top of the fourth, an uncharacteristic error, ground ball got between, some legs. And I'm like, I said to myself, I'm like, oh shit, man, that may cost us. And they went bananas, right? They just free swinging, front run and let it fly. And they were hitting the hell out of it. Kudos to them. They beat the piss out of us there. At that point, it was, I knew at that point, I was almost to a point like, man, it'd be nice to track them down, but maybe we're better off taking our ass whipping and getting these guys refocused and, reshuffle the deck and get going. And that's what happened. Hell, they run Willis in 4, I guess it was. And, I was glad that we got visitor in the if game. It was a coin flip for that. We lost the flip and we were hitting. And I was like, man, if we can just throw a big number here in the top, let them know that we're still here. It's a lot, right? And I think we threw 15 up at them in the top of the first, and they responded with 3, I think. And then I'm pretty sure we went 17 in the top of the second. And I'm like, they're in big trouble at that point.
Yeah,
right?
you have a first inning like that, and we talked about it last week, J-Ro. Mm-hmm. Getting visitor there and then just coming out and punching them in the face, and then they put up a 3. That was basically game over almost.
Yeah, that felt like the game was done at that point, being in the stadium.
I thought so. I thought, and it's no, like I said, no disrespect. They played their asses off to get to that point, and I thought they did a hell of a job. But when we're back to hitting it like that, and we never really weren't hitting, but they're chasing huge numbers, right? And it just puts so much pressure on you. You feel like you're in the box and you're like, shit, man, I can't make an out. We're chasing a 20 spot here. It's the second inning. What the hell? We got to get going. And they never really, recovered it. By the time they hit in the bottom of the second, I think it was 32 to 3. So somewhere in that vicinity. So it's a
little bit of a hole.
Is that
a little
good?
bit of a hole against the team. At that point, you could plainly tell. I would sit here and it's going to sound dumb, but I believe if we needed 70 or 75 to win that game, we'd probably go to that number at that particular game. We're just not missing, right? We're just hammering it.
Sounds like a ball. One ball hopped the right way for you there to score that many runs.
Well, here's a question. This is something we talked about last week, and I even asked Travis on Hit and Sit. Would you, let's say you win the flip, because I felt like whoever was visitor in that game had the chance to set the tone, and the way you guys were hitting, you guys, with Sonny's taken home there, you guys could continue going. Do you think if roles are reversed, your Sonny's coming into that if game, and you win that flip, do you take away and try to keep setting that pace?
If I was managing them, I would have took visitors. and I'd have tried to just throw a number, right? Because they just came off of throwing a 50 spot on us. So I'd be like, all right, man, we did
Keep
okay.
it rolling and keep by playing
let's
ahead.
keep on hitting and see what happens. So, but you can't fault them because, you know, home team's always nice. So I don't know if there was a wrong answer, but just looking at how I thought the first game went and how things were going, I might have took visitors if I was them at that point, just to keep on throwing a number. Now it backfires, right? If you come out and you only score 3-4 runs at the top, and you know we're coming to hit, and it's oh shit, man, we gotta get lucky here and hold them to a number. So it just so happened that we threw the big number in the top of the first, and then they didn't quite respond like they needed to in the bottom.
Well, and that's it. It's not an easy call because if you do go away, people are saying, "What the hell are you doing? Like, why don't you want the hammer?" And it's like, well, not every chance. It's not always taking the hammer is the good thing. That's kind of how you're feeling.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So we were fortunate. I was glad to, we played so well all year to get the 1 seed there, to get automatic home team the whole way. Ended up not being a big deal because we were on it so well. But, listen, our worst damn game of the whole tournament was the first game. We were flat as shit, against LSR. Now they didn't, they struggled. They didn't, I think they scored 2 runs. They just couldn't get hits together. But if they did, they'd have pushed us a little bit and we'd had to respond, but we didn't do much. I think we won 17-2 and 5, but I mean, that's not much. And from there, we kind of shifted gears from that point on. But being home is a nice thing to fall back on when you've earned it, right? The wire to wire to take that 1 seed, you earn that.
No, you absolutely earn it, and you get that right for sure, and it definitely helps out, in those types of situations. Now here's another question. Looking at Resmondo and how powerful the team is, and you have all the big players, right? Or not all. You have a lot of the big players in the game. And how do you build a team where you have that many guys and you keep everybody pulling the same direction all year?
Well, I think it's a mix of those guys, right? There's no selfish, there's no me guys over here of, hey man, look what I did. Listen, KP went out and just put up the best offensive season I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he hit 841 and that was hitting, right? He hit a bunch of homers in there, but I mean, he's line to line. He could have left our major tournament, went out back and waited for the friggin' D to start, and he'd have been 30 for 31 in the D with no homers because he's that good a hitter, right? So, but he doesn't, no one cares who gets the credit. I think that's the biggest part of it. Take a guy like a prime example would be Greg Cannell, who statistically still hit over 700. Dude's never had a bad year in his life, right? But I left him in that 3-hole when some of the other numbers are gaudy in the high 7s for a bunch of guys. But I left him there because he's so willing at this point to do the right things, making outs, keeping the ball in the park, doesn't care, just doing it right. So, I think that's what it is. And it's a testament to, listen, Greg Cannell is in a handful of the greatest players of all time at this point. He's had 17 or 18 straight years of unbelievable softball, right? Puts him up there with anybody who's ever done it. So for a guy like that to completely buy into how it is, and everybody see that example, it makes it pretty easy for everybody to fall in line. And to be quite honest, I was taught to play the game the right way by the guys before me. And, I always thought I did it to the best I could do it and played for the team and played hard all the time. So I think I never asked them to do anything that I didn't do myself. And I think it brings a little bit level of respect, right? When it's, hey man, this guy's, now I'm hard on him. I'll get on, they'll all tell you that I get on them and I don't take anybody's shit. And I expect a lot, but I expected a lot for myself when I played, and I expect the same for them because they're great. So I expect them to do that. I don't expect perfection, but man, I expect you to sure practice and try to be perfect, right? So I think for them, when I get on them or expect something, they respect that because it's come from somebody who did all those things the same way that I'm asking them to do it, right? I'm not asking you to do anything I didn't try to do. I ran my fat ass around in the outfield for 15, 20 years because I could, and because that helped the team. I could have cared less where I played. Yeah, man, you need me to play left, I'll play left. You need me to play third, I'll play third. Never graded any of them, but good enough to play all of them. And if it helped the team, who cares? I got a bunch of dudes that'll do that, right? If I told Bradley Jones, hey, man, I need you to come in and play shortstop, all right, man, whatever, I don't care. And we won the World Series with him at shortstop. If you remember a couple of years ago with some injuries, right? I ended up bringing him in, dropping down to 10 and put him at short. And he hadn't been in the damn infield in a couple of years since the Sports Reach days. So, guys are willing to do whatever it takes, and it's, it shows. It shows.
So real quick off of that, you're bringing up what you've been able to do, because I'm looking at the roster and I'm like, I've swung that guy's bat, I've swung that. Oh, I liked the white lightning that Cannell had out at this point 13 years ago or something. But like, do you think that someone without your sort of pedigree would be able to take that roster and be able to do the same thing?
Hard to say. I guess that's a tough question, because it goes back to really respect, right? They have to kind of respect where you're coming from. And I'm not saying I'm the only guy in softball you can respect. To me, I always thought like Todd Ankney always has done such a great job, right? The guy, just the way he goes about it, he's respected. Tim Barnes, who I happen to have work with me, Tim does a nice job. If he's on his own, hey, Tim's done a great job with teams. He makes a lot. Both those guys make a lot out of a little. Sometimes they don't have all those resources or have those great players, but they turn good players into really good players and bring guys up that nobody else wanted. And all of a sudden that guy hits, 700 for the year and plays a hell of a second base. So they've done a good job. I think it does help, to have the respect factor of the guys, because it's they're not hard to manage, but they're great players, man. They're great players. And sometimes, hell, they don't want to hear it. They want to get after it and go play. So I do think it helps having the background in the game for as long as I had it. I do believe that's true.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
No, it is interesting, when you're down there watching that, like you were saying, Coco. But you look at just coaches that have had success coming across. There is a little bit of, you can be a great player and not be a great coach. I think getting guys to buy in and knowing that that's hard. That's a hard thing.
It is, and you have to treat them all different, right? It's learning your guys, because listen, I may be able to go up to Travis Clark and say the most god awful things to him, that he's ever heard, to get his motivation up and make him go. But those same things may make Kyle Pearson, pissed off, and now I lose his focus because I have to do different things to get them all, because everybody's different. They're all gamers and they all get after it, but everybody gets there a different way, right? And I know when I played, if you got on my ass, man, I step it up to the highest level I can step it up, because I'm mad as hell. So my other part of how I treat it, and I just had this conversation with somebody down in Florida. If I get on them, a lot of times it's intentional. They may only have done one thing wrong. And man, we may be playing great and somebody just made an error. And I know it's not intentional, but I will say shit from the dugout that they can clearly hear, maybe the whole park can hear. And it's to make them focus and hear me. And if that gets you pissed off at me, well, I don't care, man. You can be as mad as me as you want. But if that draws your focus up into the game between the lines, another level, man, I win on that one. That's a win for me. I don't care if you're mad at me, man. Just focus your ass up out here and let's get after it. So, I'll say things loud and do it intentional, and just try to make sure that, we're always focused all the time, because, in the old days, that's the other cool part of having the conference be as competitive now as it is. There is no real cakewalk Friday night game, cakewalk Saturday morning game, right? When I did this years and years ago, even before the conference, man, you'd come out, and if I was with Dan Smith, we'd play somebody on Friday night, we'd win by 50. You play somebody Saturday morning, you win by 35 or 40. You play somebody Saturday afternoon, and you'd rule them in 5. And then you had a great game in the winners bracket final and 1 or 2 nice games on Sunday. That's not the deal anymore, man. If you go out there and you're not focused up on Friday night, one of those A teams or B teams will drag you all over a 300-foot field, man. They will. They're good. And if you don't focus the next day, listen, we played poor S&E. It felt like 1,000 times this year in our second game, right? It got to a point with how the points were, where we had S&E, I want to say 5 or 6 straight freaking tournaments second game. And we were playing great. But if you're not, they throttle you, right? They're really good. They play good defense. They hit like gangbusters. So, to our credit, I don't think we ever let them off the hook in any of those games, but that's just my example of, if you're not ready to play that game, S&E will beat you to death on your second game of a tournament on Saturday morning. Better.
Being ready to play, Listen, we joke about it all the time. It's softball. Like at the end of the day, anybody can show up and beat anybody. You know, you see it all the time. You see lower teams beat upper teams a lot. So you have to be ready to go, and
Yep.
you can be like you guys are the best team in conference, and you know you still showed up ready to go.
Yeah, hell, we almost got it. If you remember, Myrtle Beach, our first game on Friday night, we had to win that shit in the bottom. Did we go 8? It was either the bottom of the 8th. I think we got extra innings with a non-conference team who just had showed up to play, man, and they come out hitting, right? And my guys are a little flat. And next thing you know, you're down 13, 14 runs. It's the 5th inning. And I'm like, hey, man, we're going to take a beating here. We're about to make this a really long weekend if we don't get going. And I think, you know, I think we scored the winning run in the bottom of the. I think they took us to extra innings. We won in the bottom of the 8th. I think, if I remember right, it was either the bottom 7th or bottom 8th. But they played great.
34-33 is it that game?
That's right. It's low 30 game. Yep, low to mid 30s game. Yep.
As they say, it comes in underhand, and you still got to play, right?
You still got to make your plays. You still got to get your hits.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we talked a lot about this year. Yeah, I was just we did get some questions from some of our listeners.
Sure.
You've had just a crazy career as not only a coach but also as a player. So like when was the transition? I think Coco, you might want to jump in here. You did some research prior to the show.
Yeah, I'm the historian of the group.
Yeah,
I love it. I love the history of the game.
Just yours. I mean, I looked at so Dustin, I looked and I found the answer like to your questions. I was going to ask about the weightlifting that came into it, but no, like when you first started out, you just did it on like a whim to help someone out, and then here you are 30 years later almost. Like, what the hell is it like?
Yeah, it was never. I mean, it was literally, you know, growing up. You know, I obviously played football, basketball, and baseball all through high school. And we didn't have at that point. I mean, I'll be 53 in March. There wasn't any travel baseball and any of that kind of stuff. There was, you know, pony league and there was stuff like that going on, but so we didn't play. So I jumped on as one of my best friend growing up. Dennis McCarroll's older brother ran a slow pitch team in the area where we grew up, and they were kind of short a couple times in the summer. And I was like, shit, we were 15 or 16, right? And he's like, man, you guys want to play? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll go play. I don't care. And just went out, and the action of it, right? Every ball's put in play. There's all kinds of stuff going down. You can run and you can throw and you can do all these things, and you can hit some homers if you can hit them. And it was just pretty cool immediately. And, you know, baseball's amazing, but baseball, you can play third base in baseball. I've watched my son do that. You can play third base in baseball. You can play a whole tournament and never get a damn ball hit to you, right? Or, you know, there's only a few plays, but in slow pitch, it was cool at that age to just see every ball hit, and there's a play on every single pitch, you know, that someone swings at, and it was fun. So it immediately made me like it. And the other part of it was I could really hit it a long ways, even when I was 15 or 16, just, you know, natural strength or whatever it was, right? Just could have that swing. So that was fun, right?
You're a big Western New York ox. Like we know that. Like
I grew up on a farm, man. I grew up playing in cow shit. So
he's the Amish before the Amish.
Yeah, you said you started at 15?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Grown up on a farm.
That's right. Jeremy Fry's my cousin. So you know, it was just one of those things where, man, I could just do it. And I could throw real good and run real fast, and I could hit it far. And I took off, and I started playing, you know, every summer after that, and transferred. Had really got heavy started competing in the powerlifting when I was a senior in high school. I did my first ever meet, and it was literally like crack, man. I was addicted to the weightlifting at that point, and it's never really gone away. So it kind of fed hand to hand into the slow pitch, right? The slow pitch was like, hey man, as long as I stay flexible, hell, it doesn't affect my lift, and I can go lift like a wild animal if I want to, and I can still come out here and hit homers and throw and run and do all that. So I started to drift away. I played 2 years of JUCO here upstate, and then I transferred to Eastern Connecticut State. Coach Holowati was at Eastern. I was supposed to play ball there. I never played an inning. I was at that point had made the Team USA powerlifting team. We were going to Spain in 1992 for World Championships. As part of, and it was in conjunction with the Olympics were in Seville in 92. So they kind of did it and the World's Fair was going on as well. I should say Barcelona. The World's Fair was in Seville. So we kind of did a tour through there where we would go and we'd lift over there and do a setup and compete at the World's Fair. And then we did a meet against Team Spain and Morocco. And it was just a great time. But, man, I stopped playing baseball at that point when that was just after I got to Eastern. I went down, transferred to Eastern. I got there in the spring of 92 and lived on campus, started playing some ball there with my college roommates that I didn't know one person in Connecticut when I moved down there, man. It was a funny, quick story is I literally moved into my dorm room, unpacked all my shit, put it in my drawers, and I'm sitting there and none of my other roommates were there. And I'm like, I'm going to go home. I think I'm going to go home. I hate it here. I'm going to leave. I called my dad. My dad's like, you will stay there, man. You went down there. You're going to stay there. You'll see how it is. Just give it a chance. And he was right, man. My roommates end up being, to this day, my one roommate was in my wedding, one of the best friends I have in the world. Just great, salt of the earth dude. So it was amazing. But, we started playing some ball there. And was really my first experience with U-Trip was in Palmer, Massachusetts. We started playing some leagues there because it's all upstate New York at the time was mostly ASA at then. All the tournaments we played was either an ASA tournament or it was a money tournament with higher arc pitching, right? You could make, if you had a really good team up, upstate New York or New England back in the late 80s, early 90s, you could go out and make 30 grand for your team during the summer winning prize money in tournaments. It was all you played for prize money. So it was pretty amazing. So when we got down there, it was my kind of first experience with U-Trip. And like I said, I didn't know anybody. I literally had went to Stafford Springs. So we had moved off campus. My fiance at the time had moved down. She was going to nursing school at Central. So we got an apartment off campus in the town of Stafford Springs. So it was about a half-hour drive for each of us, me half hour to Easton and her half hour to Central. So we ended up living there. There was a little park, one field park, and we went over. I walked over there one day. I didn't know anyone. There was a tournament going on in the spring, and I said, I walked up to the first person I saw. I'm like, hey man, just moved down here. Don't know anybody. Anyone who's looking for a player to play? I'd love to start playing. And he's like, first guy was like, no. He goes, we're good. He goes, go ask that guy, and he pointed to this other dude. His name, I don't know if you guys how much history. His name was Phil Godin. They call him Pup. So I went up to this guy and I'm like, hey man, are you guys looking for a player? I said, I just got here. I'd love to play. And he goes, man, we're short a guy. He goes, can you play today? I'm like, 1,000,000% I can play today. He's like, let's go. He goes, let's run up to Stafford High School. He goes, we'll throw you some balls, see what you got, and we'll go from there. So we go up there and he starts pitching to me and I'm hitting the shit out of me. I'm hitting these things really, really good.
I was going to say, I can't imagin his face.
It's funny.
Like, okay. All right.
He throws me about 10 pitches and he goes, hey man. I'm like, yeah. He goes, can you play every weekend? I'm like, yes, I can. So that kind of started there in the summer of spring, summer 92. And he got us on a U-Trip tournament team, a C team called PSA. He was very good. He played third base and he was really good player. So we played with PSA for just a little bit and got asked to play by Scotty A. Anderson Builders. Was a B team out of Mass. Good dudes, man. Scotty A, Billy Posse, those guys, they're just great guys. So they picked us both up, me and Pup. So we went with them and played with them most of the year. And then Pierce Construction asked me to play at the end of 92. They had won B Worlds in 91. A U-Trip got bumped up to A. So I jumped on with them at the end of 92. And we stayed together in some fashion from 92 until I got my big break in 97 with Sojourn. So we had merged along the way. We went from playing U-Trip A and we played some U-Trip AA with Pierce, and we merged with Bob Halls and then merged with Midas Touch and just kind of took guys from all those teams and just made a really nice team that was all from New England right there. Right. And, they opened the Sportsplex. If you guys remember this, they opened the the Sportsplex in Vernon in 94, I think it was. Really, really nice. 4 fields, state-of-the-art place, was beautiful. We had a league there I think it was either the fall or the spring of '95, and our league was like a Tuesday night doubleheader league. We had 8 teams in it, and every single team in that league was registered nationally USSSA A or higher. That was our league night.
Holy shit!
It was Brian
Almost-
Oil,
almost-
Benders, Pierce Construction. Alan Walker had Spalding in there. I mean, it was legit. Andy Sanzaro. I mean, there's a great name for New England. Andy Sanzaro, one of the greatest players. Got on, played with Steels and some of the other big teams from there. He showed up and played. Scotty Anderson played. That was amazing. That was our league night. So, it kind of
Cute little league night in Vernon.
Yeah, man, it was amazing. I was so sad when they, when they closed that place. It was apparently mismanaged, and it just unfortunately went to hell, which is a shame because the place in its inception and for the first number of years was just a great, great place. They were so nice to me, man. I'd go down there in the daytime, and they let me take BP on the fields. They were always super accommodating and super nice. Hell, Dirk Androff. I don't know if you guys, I know you know who Dirk Androff is, I'm sure. Played with Richard Superior, one of the, if not the best, one of the best hitters in history, right? But Frank Latiano, who was Superior Paint, he was the richest Superior. He was the Superior and richest Superior. He lived in Windsor, in Connecticut. So we kind of got together as my playing career went up, and I got on a little better teams. And he had. I would start meeting him for lunch every now and then. Well, Dirk Androff would come down every year to see Frank. So I would go, Frank would ask me to go throw to Dirk, and Dirk and I would hit together. Now for me, I'm 23, 24 years old, and I know well enough at this time, I'm laser focused on making a career out of this and trying to get to the highest level I can play, right? And whatever it is, it is. I don't care if anybody paid me a penny. I just wanted to play the highest I could play. And I knew that he was the man playing for the best. And I'm like, man, and he was awesome. Right? I mean, bigger than life, right? 6'7", freaking 290 pounds, shredded. His freaking thighs were 35 inches around. He's a monster, right? And just could handle a bat, right? Line to line. Just like KP hits it now, just line to line, home runs 450 feet in every direction, and just worked super hard at it. So for me, that was just always a treat, man. When I meet up with Frank, and he'd have some of the richest Superiors guys come in every now and then, and get to spend some time with those dudes. It meant a lot, right? And it made me just that much more focused and determined to, man, I want to play with and against these dudes every weekend. And finally, 96, we had played ASA major in 96, back when ASA still had a major program, not just a super program, and then an A program. They also had a major program. So we went to 96. The ASA major was in Waterloo, Iowa. We went out there with our Pierce Construction team, lost our first game to, I think it was Sports World. And at that time, there was 40 teams in that major. It was a hell of a tournament. And we made a run. So we made a run all the way back through. I think we finished 4th. So we won like 7 straight before we got clipped finally. But I had caught the eye of Sojourn, which was a team out of New Jersey, was the sponsor. Guthrie Short was a sponsor. And they were a really high-end AA team, U-Trip AA team from the Jersey area. So they had a guy follow me around, and I didn't know it. And they never said a word to me there. And then from there, we went down and played the Trentonian in Trenton, New Jersey, another huge tournament. And they were there. Sojourn was there playing. And same guy came around and watched. He came up to me after our first game, and he said, Brett, my name's Brad Altimore. He goes, I want you to get nervous. I want you to think anything. He said, I'm going to be around this weekend. I'll chat with you after the weekend was over. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. I'm not thinking anything of it. Doesn't mean anything to me. I'm like, okay, great. So the weekend's over, and he come up and he's like, hey, I'd like to offer you a spot with Sojourn for the 97 season. We're Louisville Slugger sponsored team. You'll make some money playing. And I'm like, time out. I'm like, you want to pay me money to do this? I'm like, man, I've been sleeping with my freaking cousin in a room with 4 dudes for the last 8 years, trying to save every penny and sharing our parts of it to make it work. You guys want to pay me to do this? I'm like, all right, man, whatever. Sounds great. So I ended up with them, and it ended up being just the luckiest first year. We had played some of the big events. But this was 97 was the first year I played every weekend was on the circuit where you played. And then back then what was great was you played 4 NSA events, 4 or 5 ASA events, 4 or 5 U-Trip events. And if you were a double A team like us, man, you could do all that in the regular season, and then you could go to NSA double A, U-Trip double A, ASA major, and then you could still do ISA, ASA, NSA, and U-Trip. So you could play 7 World Series events at the end of the season that were huge by being a top end, double A team. And, we did it. We did it in 97 with Sojourns. We played a ton of ball, and you got to play in all those big events at the end. And that was, that was my real eye-opening year to what this really is and what the opportunities could be, and getting sponsored by Louisville Slugger at the time, and having just bats come with, a little sticker with your name on it, and weighted how you wanted them weighted, and, free batting gloves. And it was amazing, right? It was just amazing to get to that. And, got to play with Jeff Wallace at the time, as a guy I grew up playing against up here in upstate New York, one of the greatest hitters of all time, right? Cornerstone on those Resmondo teams for back in the day, and Tommy White, and, Damon Tom, just great players. And, from there off to Hague, which is the staple of the double A program, Hague out of Ohio, Jeff Hague's team. And we won the double A. That was my first huge championship, was winning the double A in 1998 with Hague in Hutchinson, Kansas. It was freaking amazing. And, we had a heck of a team: Howie Krause, Timmy Coco, Tim Linson, Mutzy, and Bruce. It was just a ton of great dudes, man. And that was it. From there was into 99 with started the year as Chase, as a major team. And that was Dan Shuck, Todd Jorlin, Ron Parnell. It was a mix of the Riches Superior team had kind of went away, and Louisville Slugger took Riches Superior and Shen Valley, and it took Riches and kind of separated those guys off into other teams. So they became available. We picked up, a couple of those guys, and just had an amazing team in 99. We finished the year as Belcor. So the sponsorship kind of didn't, run into a little snag along the way. And Woody Bell was so gracious. He had such a great relationship with Todd Drawing and Dan Shuck that they called him, and he picked up the sponsorship. And we finished the year as Belcor in 99, won 2 championships that year, and, just took off from there. It's been amazing. Some of those guys, they stayed in the game for a long, long time. I'm so lucky. I think what I tell people a lot at my age, and when I got in so young, is I got to play against Mike Masenko and, Dirk Androff, and Dwayne Nevitt was my teammate. And I got to play against all these dudes who are, they're in their early 60s. Some of them are in their mid 60s. So I got to cross that generation of amazing dudes who were amazing in the 80s, in the 90s. And then I also got to stick around long enough to play with the great guys my age, the Jeff Halls, the Jeff Wallaces, Andy Purcell, and those dudes. And I got to cross into the Brian Wegmans, the Greg Cannells. And now I'm into I'm still here. And here's the Kyle Pearson and the Bradley Jones and, the Travis Clarks. And these guys are, I feel at my age and having the time in the game, I don't know if you can find anybody who's been luckier than me to be around and get to play against those amazing Steels teams and Riches teams and Lighthouse teams and Shen Valley, and also get to, play for Dan Smith, play for Belcor, and all those great teams, and have those great teammates, and then still be involved in the game when we've taken another step with these phenomenal athletes today, right? It's pretty lucky. I'm pretty lucky. You'll never hear me say anything different.
Well, and here's a question you're touching on the tournaments versus today, right? You said you could play in 7 different World Series.
Yeah.
Where today you're playing in, if you're an A, double A, you could play in a couple.
Yep.
You can play in ASA. You're maybe looking, if you're an A team, 4, if you're a good A team. Did you like it better where you could play more World Series and you would have a lot of that competition around, or now where it's a little more condensed?
I think it was better. It was better for the game and better for sponsors back then when you had more opportunity, right? To go, hey, maybe maybe you didn't play great in 3 of the worlds, but you played your asses off and you won the ISA Super, right? Which was amazing. So for sponsors, I think it was cool to have more stuff. And for most of the players would tell you, hey man, to get to play in something besides this one, because if you're a major team now, unless if you're like us and you support the USA program, you go play the USA Super every year like we do. And some of the other players show up, and Dan Smith used to take his team and play, so it's kind of trying to revive it a little bit. But for the most of the folks that are playing upper, for those guys, it's one weekend, man. You're there to win that UTRIP Major World Series, and boy, it makes it kind of an all or nothing deal, doesn't it? Because you can have a hell of a nice year. So if we'd have won, if we'd had the year we had and we'd have come up short there, I'll sit here and tell you that year's a failure, because that's what, hey, the Smokies is amazing. We love it. The USA Super is a huge deal. Never going to say it's not. It is. That UTRIP Major is bigger than everything now, because guess what, man? They stuck it out when the other programs, when NSA had a hard time and knew, and it's all the right decisions. NSA and USA had got away from having that upper program because financially it wasn't feasible to do it, right? It was costing way more money than they were getting to do these tournaments. So you can't blame them for doing away with those programs. But USSSA figured out a way to make that keep on going, right? With Don Senior and that leadership group, and they established a conference for us in 2006. I'm scared to think where we'd be in upper level ball had that conference not formed. My guess is it's over and done with. You'll probably never make me believe different. I think if we don't have that conference form in 06, I would tell you that by 2009, 2010, nighty night. I think upper ball's done at that level. I think your A program's upper ball, but I think you'd be lucky to have a national A program still at that point. I think the conference is really, was the saving grace, and it gave USA softball time to regroup and rebrand it and come back and have, they did a nice job when their major program went away in ASA. They went and they kept that A program. They put some RPL players in place, and some of us went and played it every year. Hell, I mean, we went down, I think the first year in 06, we went and won the A. That was their highest level, and I think it was me, Andy Purcell, and Dennis Ruley were the 3 RPL guys for Chris Cheney's team at the time when we won it that year. Johnny Bailey, some of those guys were on that team. So a bunch of us would support it, but it's still not. It's not your highest program anymore. It kind of went away. So kudos to them for figuring out a way to try to bring it back. And, NSA's tried a couple times and can't get folks to jump in because, listen, if you add an event, it still costs a lot of money. Most teams are budgeted to a certain extent. Even this year we tried, WSL was trying to put a major World Series together. We committed to do it. It was going to be down in Panama City 2 weeks before the Major World Series, which timing wise is freaking great, right? For the major teams, hell, that's perfect, because once you play the conference championships, hell, you sit around for a month waiting to play the World Series, 3-4 weeks. So to have been able to make that go would have been nice. They couldn't quite get the traction, to get the other big teams to sign off on it. And I fully understand it, because it's expensive, man. It's expensive. We had budgeted in because I knew that we would want to do it. So for us, it made sense and we were okay with it. But I know that the cost of it makes those things hard, but some of them are trying. Some of the other associations are trying to bring some stuff back. But, right now, that Major World Series is a monster.
It is. And the other thing, too, is right now, too, right? Like the dollar, I mean, whatever side you lean on, it doesn't matter. The dollar doesn't go where it used to, even before COVID.
You're 1,000,000% right. It's not going to go down, right? It's going to get worse. I mean, airfare is not going down. Rental cars aren't going down. Hotels suck. It's just, my fear is, and I've had this open conversation, a little bit of my fear is that our conference becomes regionalized, right? Where teams they'll take a look at the schedule when it comes out. And UTRIP's done a nice job of scaling the schedule back to, hey man, we had 25 events at one point. Now we're down to 13, 14 weekends total for the year, which that's nice, because it brings more teams to those events, right? You're not going to go out and have a 3-team tournament most likely someplace because you're limited on your events, but it's also really expensive. My fear, I think, is we get to a point where financially it just becomes so hard that teams will stay regionalized. They'll go to 4 events most of their guys can drive to, right? They'll fly to probably the Hall of Fame Classic and do it early because Florida's not a terrible ticket. Usually you can make it work. And then they'll go to the World Series, and that's going to be all that you really see them on an airplane because it's so damn expensive. So I hope I'm wrong, but I'm afraid that may be where we're headed here shortly.
Well, how do you combat that? Is there really a way to combat that? I mean, like you said, everything's regionalized. You know, you look at some of where players are coming from. I just don't know what they like. There's really no answer there. It's just hopefully the expenses get cheaper.
Yeah, I think the only real things you can do in the meantime is look at where you're hosting events. Try to put them in places that airfare is not god awful historically. Hotels and rental cars are convenient, and there's some options. Try to get a good number of West Coast events, so those teams who fly their asses across the country all the time to come play over here, make sure we have events for them. Which we got Seattle Duel, you got Vegas, you got Palm Springs, you got some Arizona, you got some stuff going on out there, which is good. You have to have some balance in the scheduling, otherwise it's a little bit biased to the teams on the East Coast. And I think you'll always have a little more play on this side over here just because of it's where the associations mostly are, and that's where their home parks are, and play a lot there. So as long as we're giving them options at other places, that's all you can really do, and just keep working to try to find stuff that makes sense. The duels initially I think were a great idea because it saved airfare, right? You didn't have to fly someplace twice. You got 2 tournaments for your buck. But the problem there became now the hotels and rental cars suck so bad. You added 2 days of hotel rooms for Thursday night stays, Wednesday night stays for most of them because all the duels start Thursday mornings, right? So you got to fly in on Wednesday night. So now we just added 13 hotel rooms Wednesday night, 13 hotel rooms Thursday night, rental cars for 2 more days. And even though you caught a break on flying, you just spent thousands more dollars to be there, right? So initially, super idea. I think that they'll trim that up, and there'll probably only be 2 or 3 dual events, I would think, going forward. I would guess probably 3 if I had my guess. And then, found out that it probably doesn't play for everybody like you'd hoped it would. And it's also time off for the guys and the girls, right? Really hard. Now if you're lucky, you work the morning on Wednesday. Now you need off all day Thursday, all day Friday. And if your flight gets jacked up on Sunday or Sunday night, now you're late to work on Monday. It puts a ton of pressure on some folks. And if you're like me, I got 2 school teachers, man. They get super limited days, right? Buddy Wolf and Corey Briggs are teachers, and they've been at it for a long time. And it costs us, right? I didn't have them at the first duel. And it hurts if you don't have those guys, or in Evansville, I didn't have Corey out there, and it makes you make a lot of changes. So time off is a huge deal for a lot of folks. Everybody, all my guys, even though they have some sort of a contract and they make a little money from the manufacturers and some of the sponsors, if they're lucky, they still all work real jobs. So you still have to make that work unless you're working for yourself, where you can make it work, and you still have to make arrangements even when you're doing that, right? You can't just walk out on your own business on a Wednesday and say, hey, man, see you on Monday. Let me know how things work out. You have to have things in play. So
Nobody I know is doing that right now.
No, not right now.
I definitely didn't take off and just head down to Florida a couple days early.
Right. A lot of planning for you to go down there. You did an amazing job, man. I heard nothing but great things from you guys on your broadcast, dude. Awesome job, by the way.
Coco,
I was laughing.
What?
He's got teachers in the conference.
I know.
You couldn't even get like a Wednesday off.
No, I can only do it once. I can do it one time during the summer. Look, if you want to have tournaments that go from Monday to Friday during the summer, I'm back. This is my return. No, when you said that, I was like, oh shit, there go my excuses of why I'm not any better.
Yeah.
I was laughing though when you were talking about you're pretty loud, and you can, if you're down in the field, you can hear going at your guys. I had some people say to me after early on in the games, they got this big fat guy up in the booth. We're like, what the hell are you saying up there? We can hear you up there down in the field. I said, welcome to me just screaming in my office usually instead of now I'm at the field.
Nah, but that's amazing, right? That's the energy that we need to have to do this. It should be pumped up, and it should be get as many people involved as they can. It's super high softball, right? It's as good as our game gets at that level. And there should be somebody with that kind of excitement in there. And it's not a knock on anybody who's done it before. Hell, I've sat in a booth and broadcast games before.
It's hard to do.
It is hard to do. It's fun, but unless you have the right personality and you have things to touch on, man, it can get a little old for folks listening in a hurry. But you guys kept it freaking light and live and had fun with it, and it was really good. I didn't hear one bad word. So hopefully that's something that gets to be an annual thing. Hopefully that you guys can make that work out. That would be amazing. But I just wanted to make sure I didn't overlook and tell you what a great job I thought that you did.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that video that U-Trip put out,
Oh,
recapping it, that was sick.
Yeah, they did a heck of a nice job with that.
That made me want to run through a wall with you.
Yeah.
You make some of those calls.
I have a whole new hole in mine. I'm still
crazy.
I wish we could have had the drone or somebody tape off who had the furthest home run, Bradley Jones or KP.
Well, listen, it's so hard to tell. The one that Bradley Jones hit the left, I know was somewhere in the street for sure. Somebody was out there and like they come in and are like, man, that ball Bradley Jones hit went out in the street. I'm like, oh, it definitely went out in the street because it was climbing over those trees and it was screaming. And then the one KP hit the center. Didn't touch that thing. May have been in the car wash getting its white walls done because that thing was nighty night, man. And there's so many good balls hit there, right? The field, it's a unique place because I don't know if I've ever seen a baseball field play smaller than that baseball field when it's flying, right? When there's no wind and it's laid down, or if there's a little wind blowing out, that place doesn't play to its dimensions. It plays small and the ball flies out of there, and then compound that with a bunch of animals who absolutely hammer it, right? And that stadium ball. And hell, you guys, if you're sitting there watching that AA, that hardcore ball, I ain't sure that wasn't going as far or farther, right? That ball just seems like it's got a little weight and it spins and it goes freaking crazy. I'm sitting there watching those games. I'm like, holy shit, those are bombs.
It's always fun when I'm with someone who hasn't been to the Major World Series. And this is what I told Jero when I got back last year. I was like, you need to see this in person because the live streams are great.
Yeah.
But seeing these balls hit in person is just insane. Like balls that go up and over that scoreboard just look like they're never going to come down.
Yeah. It's not like that scoreboard's right behind the fence. That scoreboard's 25, 30 feet behind the friggin' wall in left field, and it's tall, right? And balls that go on that, top of that, or over that thing, those are freaking legit bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first years we went down, they had the home run derby, and that was insane there. You just and you can still see the whole scoreboard is just pelted.
Dented to death.
Yeah.
I'll tell, but you're right, D. And Brett, what you were just saying too, like being there in person and watching. And D, you're touching on the offensive piece of it. I'm a defensive whore. Like I love the defensive side of the game, and watching some of these plays when those plays are there to be made, and just the hustle of all the guys coming every play and every out the box. That was the shit I love to watch. That was fun.
The speed of the game, right? The exit velos, and it's not just where there's 5 guys in the conference, right? Man, it's Harvey, it's Bradley, it's KP, and a couple of other guys who hit it a million miles an hour. There's a bunch of dudes that absolutely scald the ball. The defensive side of the game has never been better. There's athletes at every position. I tell this to the guys, and they don't want to hear it, to the guys before me, to the guys who came ahead of me, and even to my start of my generation. When I started playing out there, listen, it was unlimited home runs, and you had an ogre out in right field who would catch it if you hit it to him, right? Could run a little bit, but was a hammer, right? You had a hammer at third. You had a hammer at first, a hammer at second. Your pitcher was a dude who could throw strikes and hit it a million feet, and your catcher. You had a stud in center, a stud in left, and a stud at shortstop. Everybody else just hit the living shit out of it, right? And that's the big change. And it's not a discredit. A lot of those guys played good defense too. Listen, Carl Rose, one of the greatest hitters ever. You hit it to him at second base, buddy, you're out. Same with Rusty Baumgartner, 6'7". You hit it to Rusty at second base, you're out. So, those guys could play too. I'm kind of being a little harsh with it, but the point being, you can't do that now, man. You can't have a dude who just whacks it out in right field you'll be chasing 40 runs in the fourth inning for sure. You will get exposed because the hitting has become that good. You can't have a first baseman who doesn't catch ground balls or catch all the throws over there, or a second baseman without range. Because, as soon as our game shifted from, no home run limits on 300-foot parks to overnight with, all right, home run limits, you started seeing a lot of the big guys who couldn't play defense got phased out of the game in a hurry. It changed the game like that, man. It did. And I say for the better, because I can tell you countless times where I'm standing out in right field in the mid late 90s and early 2000s, and you might be up. I can remember at one time in Texas, we're playing Sunbelt, and we are up. We've got them almost run ruled. They're hitting in the bottom of the fifth to save their lives, and they run rule us. They never made it out. They scored 30 whatever runs it was. I'm standing right field, and their shit's just flying everywhere. I'm like, okay, that didn't, that sucked. And that was a lot. You might play 5 3.5-hour games on a weekend, right? Because it's unlimited, 300-foot park, unlimited homers with a bunch of dudes who could whack it. Yeah. So if you got a chance to make an out, buddy, you better make the play. It put a lot of pressure on your defenses to make plays because the scores would get crazy. I can tell you the funniest real quick. When we were supposed to play in St. Louis, I want to say this was 2000, I think it was, and the weather was god awful, canceling flights, and it flooded out there in St. Louis. I ended up getting my flight canceled. Drove from Cincinnati to St. Louis. We get there, and they're trying like hell to get in. They decide they're going to go single elimination. So single elim, we start up Saturday morning. Our first game is they had redrew everything. Our first game is against Shen Valley, Jimmy Powers, Top Powers, Rusty Baumgartner, Todd Martin, the whole crew, man. We end up getting walked off by Jimmy Powers and a home run. We lose the game 82-81. See you later. After shit, head to the house. One game. That was the deal, man. Got walked off 82-81.
Fucking
yeah, one game.
Good old St. Louis weather just completely fucks you, and you're driving from Cincy.
So stupid. I get home, they're like, man, how'd you hit it this weekend? I'm like, fuck, man, I was 9 for 9. Oh, how'd you guys do? 0-1. Bye-bye.
You're heading back to Skyline Chili before you knew what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Oh, then, so what? That game started Saturday at noon and ended Sunday morning at 2.
Right.
It's like a cricket game.
3.5-hour shit show in the mud and just dudes killing it, right? So home run derby basically is what it was. So the game immediately got better when they changed those rules, and it brought defense into it. And now with the speed of the game, even in the last really 5-6 years, the speed of the game's gone up because there's just more good hitters, right? There's more good hitters, more hard balls hit. The defense is through the roof. I'm like you, man. I see some of these plays and I'm like, man, how in the hell do you make that? Infielders diving, catching shit behind them, coming up, making unbelievable plays. You want to see the ESPN top 10, just go watch one of those conference events, man. You'll see 10 plays every weekend you won't friggin' believe.
Watch that Rufex team.
Oh yeah, I mean,
defense is just
outrageous. Watch the Yoder kid in center field or any of their infielders, right? Just making play after play after play, and it's it's pretty amazing. I love it, and it lets you know the hitting is even better and better than you think because there's no weak ass guys to hit them to. There's nobody really to pick on. Very few teams with guys where you can pick. All right, man, that dude at second, he's rough, man. Let's beat him up. Not a ton of that going on anymore.
No, I'm thinking, Jay Fry is he had a play where Orlando came out, hit a ball like the 6-1 hole. Jay Fry lays out, grabs it, and he's on his feet, looking like he's playing in the show. And if Orlando doesn't come full sprint out the box, he's out.
You're out.
It was an unbelievable play.
Yep.
But it is. You see those every game.
Yep. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's no discredit to listen. I'll tell you, the day I die, the best softball player that I ever seen play was Todd Jorland because he could do everything great, man, and he hasn't played in 12 or 13 years up where we were, but he was amazing. The best all-around player I think our game's ever had. You probably might get a different answer from other folks, but I promise he's in the conversation. So, there was guys at any, Dirk could have hit in any era. Some of the older guys, older than me, don't want to give a lot of credit to these guys because of the bats, right? Well, you're hitting plastic bats and you're hitting all this other stuff. But I'm here to tell you that I can take Greg Cannell, Josh Riley, Ryan Harvey, Bradley Jones, Phil Matt, host of other dudes from some of these other teams, and they play in any era. They can pick up that CU 31 that I played with, and they can hit that shit to the moon just like I did and just like Mike Masenko did and Craig Elliott did and all. It does translate. It's hard to compare the eras because it is, but you can look at certain folks and you can tell. I can tell you right now that my team this year can fit in any era, and we'd give anybody a hell of a time. Anybody says different hasn't really paid attention to it, or they're just living in that past so far where, man, it's steals and nobody else was worth a shit. Which is fine, man. I love those dudes too, man. When I was coming up and playing, I was getting to play them. They were whipping our ass on Friday night by 50, and I was having the time of my life trying to get hits and play good against steals or riches, right? But I always believe, listen, man, you give credit where credit's due. I know what I see. I've been and seen all those eras of ball from the late 80s through now. And I'm telling you that regardless of equipment, ball, field conditions, there's a lot of guys today that play in that era with those bats and those balls without any problem.
So you've played in a couple decades now. What is your favorite era? What is your favorite era that you've played in?
I think, from an excited, the 90s for me was amazing because of finally getting there and getting to play all those big name dudes. Listen, I went and bought a Carl Rose bat from Sports Authority, and I swung that in games, and the next thing you know, I'm playing against Carl. He's in the other dugout. I'm like,
yeah,
man, it's surreal, right? Because those dudes are a big deal. Right? I've got Craig Elliott's Steele's bat, and I'm using it, and next thing you know, I'm playing against Steele's, and he's pitching to me, and I'm hitting a homer off of Craig Elliott, and I'm like, man, this is fucking amazing. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. So the 90s was amazing because I think of that time, but I think the game's never been better than the post home run changing of the rules to limiting the homers. I think really made the game a better game as a whole. And on as far as the technology goes, listen, you're never going to stop technology in any of the sports, right? Tennis rackets, golf clubs, you name it. They're nothing like they were 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They're nothing like they were 5 or 10 years ago, right? And we came from, bats now, they're nowhere near as good as original Synergies or Mike and Ultra 2s that we used in freaking 02, 03. I mean, those things they made titanium look like freaking you were hitting with a wood broomstick, right? So, we've toned it down, controlled the balls here a little bit, and I think there's been efforts made to make the game, a little better in that avenue. But you'll never stop that technology side of it. It's just having to adjust the ball here and there and adjust some equipment here and there and standards and go with it. But the game's great. I don't, I'll never not like it. Some things annoy me because they're not like I think they used to be, or but some of the old stuff annoyed the hell out of me too. And as a whole, I would take the game post home run rules, as a better game in whole. I don't think you get a lot of argument. The only real guys I think would argue be probably the folks who never got to play in that, in the era of 2000. I think they switched. I want to say it's around 2002-ish, 2000, somewhere in there, 1 or 2 when we started getting home run limits, and that changed the game overnight. It really did, for the better, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Brett, you talk about just the bats throughout the ages, and I only got to swing. I started probably around like 2008, 2009, so I was swinging an ultra in home run derbies.
Sure.
Wondering what the hell is this in my hand?
A lot of fun though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It's like you can't overswing with it. You just kind of have to. Yeah, it was just an absolutely crazy bat. You've had several signature bat models. What was your favorite, or what is your favorite bat that was one of your signature series?
This answer is going to surprise the hell out of you because most people would tell you that they didn't really like it. So my favorite all-time number one bat was the SC17BH. It was a white barrel, gray-handled two-piece, fairly stiff. To me, I'm always a big. I believe this. I believe it's not meant to be conceited because I'm not that way. But if a bat feels good in my hands, I promise you I'll hit with it regardless of how hot it is, right? I know I play a ton on feel. I know I put my work in. I know I can hit. Give me something that feels great. That bat in my hands has felt better in my hands than any bat I've ever swung in my life. And I put together some of my best season or two. I think we kept that in line for when it launched. I think it came out. I want to say I used it for the better part of 2 seasons. And I mean, I just love it. And then my next favorite is which a lot of folks call the avocado, right? The green one with the orange end on it. That thing was an absolute rocket launcher, right? That thing was good. It had a nice feel to it. I swung a 28.5, had a little ass end on it, felt great. Still cracked that one out. I got a couple of those still floating around here. I pull out in a home run derby against some little Dougie Owen and a couple of my buddies every now and then when I need to get an extra 10 feet out of it. So that's those are my 2 favorites. Appreciate them all. There's been so many. One of the cool things, Rick Schiffauer, Smash It Sports, obviously a close friend, and always just made a ton of SMUs with my name on it up there and did a great job of doing that. And I always appreciated it so much. And he'd always give me one of everything that they had made with my name on it. So, there's a collection of bats around here that's pretty amazing. So just lucky and blessed, man. You may never talk to anybody who's had it any better than I had it in the slow pitch world, from getting to do so many things, right? The bomber tour of getting to hit in all those major league stadiums, man, that's little kid stuff, right? I mean, I did that. God, I think we did that tour 13 or 14 straight years. I did it before I stepped aside and let Travis Clark and Kirby and those guys do more of it. And I took the back seat to it. But, I felt like a little kid every time, man. Like, you could have had no people. Major League Baseball stadiums are amazing, right? If you go to Fenway Park and there's not one person there, you will stand there at home plate. You'd stay there half the day, right? And just look out there and go, this place is amazing. But then you add people, and then you get to hit some balls in front of those people. And those events were off the charts fun, man. Just fun. And I'll tell you what, if you didn't hit good, they would ride your ass. It was amazing.
They're not paying to watch you go 3-4 hole. They want to see the bombs, baby.
They want to see show bombs, man. So that was amazing, right? And I got to do that so much. And then, coaching and playing on Team USA, that very first original Team USA that we had in 2009 was the first border battle team we did. We played that game live on ESPN, man. I mean, it was live as is with Canada, and that is the single coolest moment of my softball life I can think of, man. And that's coming from a guy who's got to do some pretty cool shit. That was unbelievable. Now, it was 150 degrees on the field, I swear, but it was, just to know that everybody who's supporting you gets to watch this live, and it's being broadcast around the country. And it means something, right? You get to wear that USA, and it's not just a shirt. It's a whole different deal, man. It means something to most of us, right? It's something a little different. You get to represent that, and you represent your family and your manufacturers and all the folks who helped you along the way. So it becomes an immediate, really big deal. So that game was a monstrous deal. That was huge. So, and it's
I still remember that being on ESPN.
Dude. And if you remember, after it was a year or two later, Dennis Ruley made the top 10 plays on ESPN with a hellacious play down the third baseline he made, and they put it on there as well. They should. It was unbelievable. So it's to see the game move in some of those things and be able to take part in it, and now coach the USA team, being asked, by Steve Shortland, the old, the previous coach, if I would do that. That's a hell of an honor. That means a lot, right? That means somebody thinks you did a nice job and you deserve that. And I'm not sure if I do, but I sure appreciate it. And to me, I would never gyp that or not treat it like it's something super special, because it is. It could be border battle number 500. And if I'm still involved with it, it's just as special to me as any of them. Right. So it's been amazing, man. It's been amazing. I'll stick around this game as long as I can stick around it. And some of the great friends, I met Scotty DeLorge down there, in the early 90s. I started playing league ball with him and his brother Kevin over at Brainerd Park, and and going to tournaments and riding together and cutting up and having a good time. And Mike Manning, and just great dudes, man. And Scott's been involved with us now. He's been sponsoring a little bit. He does so much around the New England area, but helps us out with our Resmondo team. And before we were Resmondo, when I was running that team, and I think Scott's first year with us sponsoring was like 2011. I mean, that's a long time ago, man. That dude's been there with us through thick and thin, and he still does a lot for the local guys and teams around there. Him and Scott Sunderland and Mike Manning, all these folks that are with us on our Resmondo team and previous before we were Resmondo, they're good dudes, man. They do a lot for the area there. I love, New England softball is the reason I'm where I got to go where I'm at, man, because the game was big down there, and I got to meet great sponsors, Pierce Construction, Franny Pierce, just legendary dudes. Mark Canagallo I'd meet him at either Potter Hollow and Enfield at the baseball field that most people didn't know was sitting down in there, or I'd meet him over at Brigatti, and he'd throw to me. We'd throw to each other while he was taking his lunch break from being an electrician with the city. Man, we did that 1,000 times if we did it once. And those are the things I'll never forget, man. Just putting that time into it and finding amazing people that helps you get there, right? Anybody who tells you they get to this level or get to this point without help is full of shit, and you're disingenuous, right? Because all I did, my part was put the time into it, man. I wanted to be really good at this. So I lived in a gym, and I lived at the batting practice and doing those things, and worked in between. When I was in college, I was working for Franny Pierce doing building houses, doing concrete work, man. We'd pour floors and footings and foundations. We'd pour a floor in the morning, and I'd have my softball shit in the back of his truck. We'd pour a floor. He'd go throw to me. We'd have our friggin' blue jeans on and T-shirts, and I'd throw my cleats on, and we go to whatever field in whatever town we were pouring a floor in or a wall in, and he'd throw to me. And I'd hit 100 balls. We'd pick them up and go back to work, and then I'd play for him on the weekends, man. Those people like that treated me as good as you can treat anybody. And, without them, hell, we're not having this conversation. So lucky, super lucky.
Yeah, I just wanted to, you brought up the Bombers, and I know you like hitting balls in rivers. You hit the ball into the Ohio River. We have a field in Merrimack, New Hampshire that has a little river behind it. So if you want to come and take some BP and see if you can put in that river that I can still not reach, I'm willing to challenge you right here, right now, for all 85 people that are willing to stick with us.
I'll tell you 2 quick funny water stories about that. You'll laugh. The first one, we were in San Francisco hitting, first time we got to hit for the Giants, and they were super nice to us there. They took us in there and they let us walk around. The place was empty. It was hours before the game. Nobody at the park. And they took us around the park and they showed us the neat little ins and outs of the park. And we walked on the pier out behind the right field wall and all sorts of stuff. And we went up there to start hitting, and I'm on it. I'm having a hell of a round. I am hitting ball after ball into the water, into the bay, man. Tanks. Just a great day, right? Can't miss. So I'm done hitting, and we had sponsored at the time. I was still obviously working at Easton, and we had sponsored Jeff Kent, was one of our Easton contract players. And I had spent a couple times with Jeff at various off-season conventions and stuff where he would come and do some stuff in a booth for us. So he called me over. I got done hitting. He goes, Brad, he goes, come here. So I go over by the top of their dugout. He's like, man, he goes, you did it. I'm like, I did what? He goes, you pissed the big man off. I'm like, the big man? He goes, yeah, Barry. He goes, you started hitting him in the water. Barry left the dugout and went down underneath. He didn't like that at all. He said he was genuinely pissed that, I was hitting balls out into the water because that was supposed to be, only his spot. So he didn't appreciate it, which I didn't really care. I mean, Kent thought it was great because those 2 dudes hated each other anyways. So that was a funny water story there. And then when I hit that one completely out,
imagine pissing off Barry Bonds because you're hitting absolute tanks into the fucking Gulf.
Dude, I can actually top that one. If I don't know, you guys can stop me anytime. You can throw me out here whenever you want. But I got stories.
Brett, you got you. We're
You
gonna
just keep on going.
get you and John Hickey on a podcast together. We're just gonna sit back with popcorn.
Listen, I love John Hickey. He's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So we're in Cincy, and I hit that ball completely out of Cincy. And I swear to God, when I hit that ball, I wanted to put my bat down and never take another swing on the bomber. I hit it, and I'm like, man, that's got a chance, And it went the hell out of there. And I'm like, please, can I just stop? I was in the middle of the round. I'm like, I don't want to swing one more time. I want that to be the last swing I ever take on this tour, man. That was amazing. But 2003, I think it was. We go to Arizona during spring training. And we're going to shoot an actual commercial, television commercial with Easton. It was going to be me and Sammy Sosa, because at the time we sponsored Sammy, was on his home run, right? He was absolutely tanking it, hitting shit everywhere. So we get to their spring training stadium, which is Hohokam in outside of Scottsdale there. So we get there, and we got a whole production crew there set up. I mean, it's a $75,000 setup and shoot. So Sammy starts warming up, man, and I'm like a little kid. I'm like, fuck, man, this is Sammy Sosa. I grab my glove, I run out to left field, and I'm shagging, right? And he's hitting bombs. He's hitting the shit out of there, no problem. So he gets done warming up, and I come in, and my boss at the time, Greg Barton's there. We got our bag of balls, and I got my bats. So Bart's goes out, and I start to get loose. So I take a couple swings, and now I'm getting loose, and I'm hitting balls out of the right and right center and through into the middle of the players' parking lot. I mean, tanks, right? Legitimate bombs. Now Sammy doesn't say a word, grabs his shit and walks, leaves the field, goes down into the clubhouse, and Bart's is like hollering behind him. He's like, Sammy, where are you going? We're gonna shoot. We got to shoot. Doesn't say anything, just leaves. His agent is there, and I can't remember if it was Adam Katz or Andy. It was one of the Katz dudes, and Bart's is like, Katz, he's like, what's going on? And he's like, Sammy's pissed. He's like, what do you mean he's pissed? He's like, he thinks that your guy's showing him up. And I'm like, you got to be joking, right? I mean, this guy can't honestly believe I'm here trying to show up anybody, man. I'm like, I'm trying to get loose for this commercial. I'm having a time of my life shagging for Sammy Sosa. This guy thinks I'm trying to make him look like a clown because I'm hitting balls a mile into the parking lot. So I'm like, and Bart's is like, well, we got to get him out for the shoot. And he's like, he's not going to come out. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, he's not coming out. I'm like, listen, I'm like, can I go down into the clubhouse? Can I talk to him? And he's like, yeah, we can do that. So me, Bart's, and Katz go into the clubhouse, and there's no one else there. Sammy's there. And I had to apologize. This is the God's honest. Dude, I swear, I had to walk up, and I'm like, Sammy, I'm like, listen, man. I said, I swear. I said, I'm not trying to show you up. I said, I'm just warming up like you were. I said, I was more than happy to shag for you. I said, I'm not doing anything. I was just trying to get loose to do this shoot. I said, dude, there's no, by any means, anything disrespectful meant to you. I said, please come out and let's do this shoot. It's going to be an amazing commercial. And then he was fine, man. He was, shook my hand. He was cool. We went out and shot the commercial, and it was like nothing ever happened. And that was it, man. It was all done. I went right. He went left, and that was it. And I saw him in a couple more conventions. We had brought him in at the Super Show to do a couple things, and he was nice as pie. But it was just one of those things, man, where he was like, this fat left-handed dude is showing my ass up here, and I'm out of here. And I'm like, I'm really not. Please come back.
This is like when the little brother finally beats up the big brother, or beats him at basketball or whatever for the first time, and you got to go do it to Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds. Like, Jesus Christ, you fucking kidding me? Dude, you gotta go coddle Sammy Sosa to get him back for a commercial shoot.
Next episode, I'll tell us about how he off Mark McGuire while he was at it.
That's what I'm waiting for.
It was so fun, and the tour was great doing that stuff, because when we first did it, they were all skeptical, man, of guys hitting softballs out of major league stadiums. The first one we ever did was John Daniels started this tour, got us into the old Metrodome, and we started hitting. And we're hitting absolute tanks, man. there was banners because of how the field was. Right field, the bleachers all pushed in, right, and then it was up high, and there was all these banners with Kirby Puckett's face on there, and all these past players. I'm hitting them off the middle of these banners, way up and right, and Rusty Baumgartner's hitting him a million feet to left, and we're putting on a show. But we're about 10 balls into this thing, and Torrey Hunter is running up and down the front. He can't believe it. Like, this dude's 8 years old. All of a sudden, he's running up and down, high-fiving all the dudes and stuff. They had an absolute blast, man. Every time we probably hit there, we probably hit there 15 times over the years, and all those dudes would always. It got to a point where none of the players originally would kind of stick around, but by the time we had been around the parks, one time, the players would all kind of hang out and they would watch, which was pretty neat, right? Because we're nobody to those dudes, right? They're Major League Baseball players. We're a fucking bunch of clowns out there swinging at slow pitch balls. But a lot of those guys thought it was cool as shit, and they would stick around and they would watch, and they'd speak to you, and it made it pretty neat. It kind of validated a little bit, and it was kind of fun to see that, how some of them acted when we were, hitting long home runs in there.
Oh, and here you go. I just pulled up the old Metrodome. So you're hitting them,
Dude,
up in here.
Yeah, I'm hitting like the pictures above the baggie out there. And if you hit those, they're like curtains. They come down, right? So if you hit those things, like the whole curtain ruffles and the shit goes everywhere. They go absolutely bananas there. They were great. Did that first one, and we were in front of 30,000 people probably. It was literally 15 minutes before first pitch. It was unbelievable. The place was packed.
Oh, and that's more than I think the Tampa Bay Rays got for their entire playoff series. You got for one game.
We hit at Tampa a bunch of times, and you and I could have this conversation. You could be sitting in left field. I could be sitting in right field. We could be talking just like we are now. We could hear each other. That's how many people were not there for some of those events in the old Miami. In the old Montreal's Expos, the old stadium in Montreal, nobody went, man. We did one in there. We only got in there one time. It was just before, it's been gone for so many years now, but we got in there one time, and there was like 2,500 people at the game. Oh. It was unbelievable. So, but amazing.
What was your favorite stadium to hit in?
Seattle. I mean,
the old Kingdome.
No. Safeco.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's not. Is it still Safeco? They changed names so much.
Or T-Mobile Stadium or whatever, yeah.
So,
it was Safeco when I was there.
So we got to hit there, and it's super cool, especially for a lefty, because in that second deck there's windows, right? There's suites, and it's all windowed off, and then there's a stairwell out in right center. If you really stomp on one, you can pling it off, like Plinko one off that stairwell. But I probably hit there 6, 7, 8 times. Never had a bad round there, man. Just for some reason I felt so good there. Was just killing it there all the time. The first time we went there, this is a funny story. The first time we ever went there, the guy, their dude who was in charge of having us out there, their promotion dude, hated us. He's like, I don't know, he was a prick. And we had Mike Zlackett was there, who now is the CEO of Rawlings. I mean, so he's a big wig with us at Easton at the time. He actually came to the event with us, flew up there, and this guy's a dick to Zlackett he's like, I don't even know why we're doing this. You guys aren't going to hit one ball out of here. This is going to be the biggest waste of time we've ever done. Just a douche, right? And Mike's telling the whole time, he's like, man, you have no idea. He goes, you're going to ask us back here. I promise you. He goes, when we're done, you're going to want us to come back. He's like, no way. He goes, this is going to be a waste of time. He goes, I can't believe somebody scheduled this. Wouldn't stop. So we finally get out on the field, and I hit first. And I hit the very first ball into the highest deck. First ball that's ever been hit up in there. I mean, show bombed. I have no idea how far it is. Absolute tank. And I stop, and I just look like, I don't know what to do now because I can't hit a ball 1 fucking inch farther than that, so I might as well shut it down. And I look over there, and I hear Mike Zlackett. He's got his finger in his tooth. He goes, I fucking told you. I told you. And he's let him have it. And, I mean, we hit like 50 balls out of this place. Johnny McGraw hit one off the top of the fence just before leaving the entire park in left field. So if you tank one in Safeco down that left field line, you can hit it completely out of stadium. Now it's a million feet, but he hit one off of there, right?
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Oh, I fucked that up
clouds.
pretty
That's where
good.
some of them went. That some of those guys. Were in the
I'm
clouds.
sure.
Where's
Look,
the
like,
IT
look at
guy when
this.
we need him? There it is.
So
So you're talking about all the way up here.
yeah, completely out. So and then behind that is the street. So there's a street. And there's
Yeah.
a hotel. So Scott Kirby, years later when we went there, Scott Kirby hit the first ever ball completely out of there. I mean, it went out like by
Jesus.
a mile. He hit one way gone out of there, over the road, the whole deal. But yeah, man.
They're the
Pretty-
windows you're talking about too.
Yeah, there's windows there, and then
God.
there's that highest deck, man, above that, and man.
And then all the way you hit it up here. That's
Oh yeah, only once. That's
Oh.
the only ball I ever hit up in there, but one was enough because it was pretty fun, man. Just a cool place to hit. No, they're all cool. Don't get me wrong, but if I picked one
Right.
place, it would be that place. I love that place.
Safeco. T-Mobile Park is its new name.
T-Mobile Park. Okay.
It'll change again when somebody comes around with more money.
Yeah, some of the parks they wouldn't let us in, man. We tried and tried. Fenway wouldn't let us in. That would have been amazing, right? If you're
Yeah.
a righty and you're hitting in Fenway, right, and you're freaking tanking it over the monster and into those freaking light towers, that would have been pretty sick. But
Yeah, you'd be causing
Wrigley
an accident
wouldn't.
on the highway.
Yeah, Wrigley wouldn't let us in because they're worried about because it's fairly short. You know,
Mhm.
most all the balls go flying right out of that stadium if you hit them real good, right? So they were concerned about that. And then some of the grounds crew guys and some of the parks were kind of dicks, and they wouldn't let us in. But for the most part, man, the places that let us in,
They had a day.
oh, dude, we had a day where we're like little kids up there hitting. I mean, you pitch. I passed out in the box swinging. If you'd let me swing, I'd swung all day long until I couldn't freaking lift my arms up anymore. Anybody would.
Oh, that is unbelievable.
The tour was great.
And what a fun way to really put a new light on some things too. I mean, slow pitch, obviously, home runs a part of the game, but when you get monsters like yourself up there and just hitting balls that people could never fathom going that far, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and listen, we were using a hard ass ball. We used launch 650s at times. We used stadium Dudleys. We used evil balls at times. Whatever the sponsorship was. I mean, you're there to put on a show. Give me the
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can go out there with. You want to go out there with some regular ass 52 300, or you want to go out there with the hardest ball in the world? Well, give us the hardest handball.
Here's a hot dot. Make it work.
Right. Here, guys, have fun. So,
Middle shots.
yeah, I mean, we're
Oh,
absolutely
fuck.
hitting hard ass balls, and they're going a million feet, and everybody's loving it. That was a
That's-
great time.
That is unbelievable. I got to tell you, I think that's probably not a bad spot here. I mean, we could have. I tell you, it's going to be a Hickey and Helmer show. It's going to be the Double A show.
We gotta have it.
Hickey hasn't been on for a minute. Hickey's also loving this right now because it's 9:36. He's loving how late this is going. But no, it's this has been unbelievable, Brett. The history. Real quick, had a quick text earlier today. Keith Bololi wanted to say thank you for always sponsoring his father's tournament, the Andy Bololi Open.
Yeah, real quick on that, man. I try anything I can do. Like I said, New England is where I got my start and where everybody treated me like gold. And their dad, Andy, was just a salt of the earth dude, right? Hard-working guy, worked his ass off to build his business, and he put a ton of money and time into teams in New England, man. Not just, and from beyond there, he threw money at Riches and did some other stuff on the circuit as well. But, man, he really gave back a ton there and was just a really good guy, man. He was always positive, always had a good time, loved the game. Just one of those dudes who the game was far better because Andy Bololi was in the game, right? And the boys have done a nice job keeping his name relevant in it, where everybody in New England knows if you say Bololi, you know who we're talking about, right? So they've done a heck of a nice job with that, and I'll support their event every single year. That's without even having to ask. I'm in.
Oh, that's all. Appreciate it. And I kind of wanted to get into the smoke with Tony Caruso, but you know what? That's he sent a message too, talking about how you were during the Major World Series. You were sponsoring Smoke during their C run, and when they won Worlds, and he said you left the stadium during the World Series to come watch them play too. So
Yep. My local guys from here, right? Syracuse guys for the most part,
Yeah.
and just Tony's a great guy, man. I can't say enough about him. Another guy who sunk a bunch of money and fundraised and did everything to. It's hard from New England and upstate New York here to get teams of higher level to go play. You can't have a C team up here because there's no one to play, right? So you're going to spend a lot of damn money to play that schedule, and he made it work year after year, and I was proud to sponsor with them. And I did, man. I left when I saw they were on a run, and I went down there and I stayed with them for the rest of the day. And they brought that stuff home to Syracuse for us, man. And I couldn't have been more proud. One of my happier days at the park to be there to watch them, get to experience that, because all that effort, all that time. I talked to Mike Masenko this morning a little bit, and it came up in a comment about how lucky we were that. Mike Masenko only won one USSSA Major World Series. Wow. How hard it is. Guys take it for granted that you're going to get there, and if you win one, hell, man, we're going to do this again. Man, I can name you a book's worth of really good players and great players who never won one or only won one or two at the most. And it's so hard to win, man. Everything's got lots of things have to go right? You're spoiled when you see the Greg Cannells and maybe myself and some of the, Andy Purcell and some of these guys of how much they've won, but man, it's not as easy as all that. There's a lot of great players who've never won one, right? It's super hard to do. So
a lot of things have to go the right way. You have to stay healthy. The team has to stay, right. Look at it. It happens in all the sports. It's just because it's softball. When I got home from the World Series and I showed, some people I worked with and my family, like, what the hell really goes on when you're at that major level, they're like, holy shit, this isn't just like, kind of what you're talking about. So it's nice to have that showcased on such a large scale. And hey, I'd love to see it get back to ESPN. That'd be amazing, or some type of broadcast on the TV.
It would. Just having you guys having live streams, in the last several years where families can now actually tune in a little bit and see their sons or daughters or brothers and sisters, or grandkids play. It's something that I didn't have until the Kirby's started their softball kingdom thing a little bit, and folks could tune in a little and watch it. And then DW and some of those folks have done an amazing job from there, taking it to another step, and now folks like you are taking it to another step. So to be able to have that is a big deal for the guys and girls who play at that level, because when you mention softball to 95% of people, they associate that with a beer and a league night and having a good time and going and getting some wings after, which is great, because hell, we all love to go do that. That is softball. But there's this side of softball where the women's game is through the roof with tons of fast pitch Division I players, and ladies hitting a ball 375 feet and making sick ass plays at short and center, and to the guys game where it's unbelievable. And for folks to be able to actually tune in and actually watch some of that, you're 100% right. It's pretty amazing. Once you've seen it like that, you're like, you know what, I'm probably gonna go try to watch this live one time. So you pick up some fans along the way who were probably never interested in it before, but you drug them along, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, I'll go to the Smokies. This looks pretty cool.
That's next on our list. We got to get down to the Smokies, D, because we go Piff, and then we come home. I want to go down to the Smoky bed.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I'm going to rent an RV. I'm going to go right from Quebec all the way down to Tennessee.
Do it.
I'll pick you up on the way. Well, listen, Brett, we can't thank you enough. So it's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks for taking this time to sit down and chat with us. And once again, congratulations on a hell of a run, and nice way to cap off the year, and look forward to see what's to come.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Anytime if I'm around, you want to chat, just holler. I appreciate doing it, and I got tons of shit to say. So if we got to bring me on again, I'm in. If you can
all
find
right.
Awesome.
Next week, we're doing it early because of Halloween, but ladies and gentlemen, we'll have Brett Helmer.
I'll dress up as a 50-year-old fat guy. No one will know who I am.
Yeah, that's the best costume. Well, Brett, appreciate it. Have a great evening, and thanks again.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks,
We'll
Brett.
see you, bud.
You bet.
Holy shit! What a show that! I got to stand up. Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't want to stand up with Brett on there. Oh, that was whoo. Can you really think about him and Hickey?
No.
It would be. There's just so much. There would be so much softball knowledge in that conversation between those two.
Yeah.
We need cameras.
Say one, like, just here's where you guys should go, and then just
Runners on the corners, go.
And then just list it. Yeah.
That's going to be one we got a TV crew.
Yeah,
that was
great.
Unbelievable.
I mean, we were watching some of the highlights before, and I mean, some of the balls that he would hit out of these stadiums were just crazy, absolutely crazy. And I mean, just what an insane career as well. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, thank you so much for Scott DeLorge for making that connection and hooking us up with Brett, because that was insane. That was awesome.
That was fun. That was fun. It was.
If you're a softball nerd, you just had an experience.
Go change your pants. Like, it was funny. Like, I feel like this was the first time when we had Hickey on the first time.
Right. Yeah.
Where you just kind of said something and then you just sat back.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. No, that was great. Yeah, Coco alluded to something. We are going to be on Monday or probably Wednesday night next week.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
We'll talk about D.
Yeah,
I mean,
not Tuesday because it's Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah, we have Halloween out here.
And then I think we might have a Rookie of the Year next week joining us.
Ooh,
really? This is news to me.
I was working on this. I was working on this person, and then we got a new text message saying, "Hey, Brett Helmer," and I said, "Hey, sorry.
Yes, this is not news to me. This is from the women's major.
Yes, okay. Yes, the women's from the conference, women's conference. We're potentially gonna have the Rookie of the Year on next year or next week.
To be another returning guest.
Okay, I think. Did you say the MVP was going to come on? Maybe, possibly, of the women's major.
I have to email her too.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got guests lined up.
Yeah. Remember how we were talking about off season going every other week? I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to just do guests.
Yeah. I think that's a very good plan and model.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. So, that's awesome.
Did you hear what Brett said at the end there, real quick?
That he loves streaming? Was it something about
having these streams were good? Maybe we should bring the streams back. Bring them back
in one way or
with
another.
good voices.
I think that would be good.
But
before we end, there are a couple of things going on. SST is there. They are looking to go to Barcelona. Mm-hmm. They won the D. I think they're looking for sponsorships at this time, and I think they've got something going on their Facebook as well. So, head over to their Facebook page. I don't know what it is. We'll throw it.
Shoot me a message on Facebook if you're interested in sponsoring or interested in helping out SST. Go to Barcelona. Shoot me a message. I can put you in touch with the SST guys. Great. I'm telling you, like when we had Tim on, this is a team I loved playing against. Just a great bunch of dudes, and I'd love to see them go. Hey, if we had a couple bucks, if we had $1,000, I'd help, but we don't have $1,000.
That I mean, it is an awesome experience if they're going to be able to do it, but obviously, that is a lot after an entire softball year, and for the D level, where the D level is not really getting those sponsors. Definitely, if you know of anybody or if they have any fundraisers or anything like that.
It's a lot of squares.
Page. Yeah, it's a lot of squares, a lot of expensive squares. The other thing
$4,000 squares.
Other thing I wanted to mention is the Kobe tournament did get moved from last weekend to this coming weekend. They are still looking for teams. The last I checked, I think they had like 5 or 6 because of the change and with D Worlds. And then I think Wally's running a co-ed tournament up in Rochester this weekend as well. So if you want to get in that tournament, shoot us a message. We'll put you in touch with the right people. Or if you have a team that wants to get in, do the same.
Come to New Hampshire and play ball.
It's going to be warm this weekend.
It is going to be a super nice day on let's get away from super nice. Super nice for this time of the year. Yeah. It's going to be all right. Probably
Guys,
in the afternoon.
It's fucking gorgeous out here. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I missed the fireworks at Epcot. Oh, okay. I got to tell you, I hate Orlando being down here and looking at all these fucking people.
I thought you were in Brevard County.
No, I'm in Orlando.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I see two grown ass fucking adults, one dressed up as Woody from Toy Story and one dressed up as like a princess. I'm like, where the fuck am I? It's a whole different thing. That's for another podcast. But it just really, I question things. Yeah. I saw somebody when I flew home from Orlando last from the majors. I saw somebody with fucking Mickey Mouse jeans, a grown ass man with Mickey Mouse jeans like printed on them.
There are people. Yeah, there are Disney people out there in the world.
And I'm in the fucking jungle right now.
Yeah. There are. What do they call the people that work there?
Employees.
They're like dream makers or something like that. They're
Stage crew.
You're asking the wrong guy.
It's like stage crew. I think it's like, oh man.
I mean, it's a great place. Cast members.
They call it cast members.
You.
Yes, they're all cast.
I get that. I think the service that goes on from the cast members is wonderful. And listen, I'm not shitting on your. It's just I would spend $5,000 and go to Europe instead of coming to Disney every year.
Oh, Europe isn't the most magical place on earth.
Bullshit. Hey, give us an MFK. MFK,
Okay.
come on.
Yeah, what's
M&Ms.
the
We're wrapping this up.
Yeah. M&Ms,
Got 2
Sour
hours.
Patch Kids, Snickers.
Oh, what kind of M&Ms? Or are we
For
talking the
any
whole
of-
family?
For any of this, it is your favorite variety of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So this could be your favorite style of M&M. This could be the all watermelon Sour Patch Kids that my students have talked about so much. This
All
could,
right,
I'm
easy.
even allowing the ice cream Snickers to count.
Oh my
Easy.
god. Yeah.
Killing Sour Patch Kids.
Same.
That's where the easy part ends.
And Coco is marrying Sour Patch Kids.
Nope.
For
But most of the responses I got, I do a trial run during the day, and most people were going with Sour Patch Kids.
Do you do these at
marry
school?
or fun? Yes.
Do you do the MFK at school?
Yeah. Don't
Interesting.
ask
Alright.
questions. Not with the students. Not yet.
Okay. I think I'm gonna.
Well, first off, what M&Ms are you classify? Like, what's your
I give
favorite
you-
M&M?
peanut butter or
Well, it's
peanut.
yours. It's whatever
Peanut
you
butter
want.
or
Mine's
peanut.
M&M.
Yeah,
I know.
For me
Mine's
personally, it's peanut butter or peanut.
peanut.
I can
Peanut.
do either.
Peanut's the goat.
I think so.
Peanut butter's
All right.
pretty good too.
I agree.
is the crispy.
I'm still marrying Snickers, especially if we get that ice cream bar.
Okay.
That ice cream bar, that ice cream Snickers is a fucking.
It's a force.
Ooh.
So
It's not better than the original.
I'm marrying the M&Ms because of the variety they bring to the relationship.
You just said.
Wait,
you
you
had
just
to
said
pick
it's
one.
by the favorite.
It's not
No,
the
it's- you can-
color.
I know the variety. You can have any of the M&Ms. You can have any of the Snickers. That's what I said.
No, you.
No, I did not.
All right.
No, I did not. Then you asked what my favorite was, and I told you.
No, I asked. Do we have to pick one?
No.
And you said you pick your favorite
Yeah,
one.
we literally, Jared, we were on the
Varietal.
same page there.
Yes.
Because I was
varietal.
thinking peanut or peanut butter.
Jesus fucking Christ.
One of those.
It's like
No, Mary fuck kill, not Jesus fuck Christ.
I'd rather.
I'm still in the
fucking
same
go to a
boat.
Catholic priest right
yeah.
now.
Snickers are good anytime. You know, Snickers are good anytime. I think, especially with that ice cream.
Yeah.
M&M
S-
is kind of like you've got to. There's
Yeah,
work to be
no,
done
but-
there.
No.
I'm marrying
There
M&Ms.
is.
I'm fucking that ice
You
cream.
get the
up
bag.
Snickers.
You got to sit there with the bag. They say it doesn't melt in your hand. If it's hot enough, it's gonna melt.
Keep it in the bag.
But they say it's not gonna melt. in your
What?
hand.
No, never. That's
you
since I was 16.
That would avoid the melt in the hand. Don't
But
leave
I'm
it in
just
your hand
saying-
long enough to melt. Just get going on that.
I can't with this right now.
I do like to savor an M&M, especially a peanut M&M. You know, you just
Suck
kind of
on
like
it?
let it melt and crack the shell.
See, I just bite into it and crack it enough just to get to the peanut, and then
Yes,
I
and then
de-shell
then
it.
you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
Get like a seed. Just in the old ballpark.
Right. Coco, we're gonna have to talk semantics on these Mary fuck kills moving forward.
Love semantics. Let's do it.
We'll see you guys next week. We'll let you know when we're going live. We'll talk to you.
See you guys.
Ooh, well, no, we're not. All
This
right,
is the
so
suck,
we're gonna.
this is the bite it to bite the shell until it gets to the peanut, and then just
You know,
sit in your
you
mouth
gotta-
for a while.
You nibble on it a little bit, just a little to get it excited, and then you let that peanut just caress
Just let
the
the
tip of your
chocolate
tongue.
Just melt in your mouth.
I did suck it liquid.
All right.
See ya.
See you next week.